This is a response that I am sick of hearing every time someone says all cops are bad. Not all cops are bad, there's only just a few bad apples out there, even though let's conveniently ignore that that saying comes from the phrase, one bad apple spoils the whole bunch, but okay, whatever, let's ignore that. Or they say, I've had plenty of good experiences with cops in my life, and they're the nicest people in the world. They would never do the things that you see in certain viral videos, like viral videos where cops are murdering a black person. Or they say, I have family members who are cops and they're the nicest people in the world. They would never in a million years do the things that you see certain cops do in certain viral videos. Here's the thing. I do not give a shit if a cop is individually a nice person. They could be the nicest person in the world. I don't fucking care. But here's the thing. The institution they are a part of is shit, and therefore they are shit too, for taking part of said institution. The police are thugs who act upon the will of the state, and it is their job to keep marginalized people down, especially marginalized people of color. Why do you think police patrol around a lot of communities that are filled with a lot of people of color? You might say, well, those communities are more susceptible to commit crime. Think about why those people commit crime, though. Is it because, well, they're just violent thugs that just want to kill people, just want to rob people? No. It is because they live in impoverished communities where they don't really have a lot of job opportunities, and the education system is exceptionally poor in these kind of communities, so really these people don't have much else to turn to aside from crime. And is this me trying to justify the crimes that some people in these communities commit? Of course not, but I'm trying to say, understand why people turn to crime. It's usually because they don't really have any other avenues to turn to, and it is because of institutions like the police where we feel more contempt for these people instead of empathy and wanting to reach out and help these communities where crime is really the only viable option to make any sort of living. And because of the contempt that we are conditioned to feel for these kind of communities, we turn a blind eye every time a person of color is unfairly profiled or receives a way harsher sentence than a white person would for, say, marijuana possession. And this kind of thinking leads people to say things like, this black guy probably deserved getting the shit beaten out of him by the police, or this person deserved to die at the hands of police because, oh no, they weren't complying, or oh no, they were high, or any sort of other excuse that they could pull out of their asses. And it is because of institutions like the police that people adopt this kind of mentality, because again, it conditions people to feel contempt for certain marginalized communities, and to not feel any ounce of empathy when these marginalized communities are oppressed by the state, and the state-mandated thugs that are known as the police. And this is not a problem we just fix. Oh, and just instill good people in the police force, and everything will be okay. Get rid of all the cops that are fine with murdering black people, and then the police institution will be A-okay, everything will be fixed. This is not a recent problem at all, just because we've been seeing an influx of black people being murdered by the police on social media. Absolutely not. This is how the system is designed to be. The police are not designed to care about the regular folk. They're designed to oppress and serve the will of the state. Why do you think they go out and attack peaceful protesters? I'm not talking about the rioters, I'm talking about the people who are out there marching and protesting. Why do you think they attack the people who want to protest the current system? Because the state does not want these people to protest the current system, because it sheds a light on the fundamental problems of our society and sheds a spotlight on just how fucked up the system it is that we live under. They don't want an uprising. They don't want more and more people to become aware of the systemic racism that is oh so prevalent in this country. They want to keep the populace in line. They want to preserve status quo because the status quo benefits them the most, the people who are actually in power in this country. So they send the police to squash any attempt to protest the current system that we are living under, even if that means attacking them with things like tear gas. And the state instills things like curfews, making it harder for people to organize and protest against the current system, shedding light on the fundamental issues of this country. And who enforces these curfews? Oh yeah, the police. So don't give me this shit about how not all cops are bad, there are good cops out there, because if you're a cop, you're telling me that you're okay with these things, you're okay with enforcing these kind of things, and you're okay with enforcing unjust laws like, say, the Patriot Act, where it makes it okay for the government to spy on you. And being complicit with the quote-unquote war on drugs, the thing that makes it okay to fill our prisons with a lot of non-violent drug offenders who are people of color. All for the prison industrial complex. Fill up our private prisons. It doesn't matter if certain prisoners in these prisons served way harsher sentences than warranted, It doesn't matter, just fill them all up, because the more prisoners they have, the bigger profit they turn up, and that profit also goes to politicians and corporations. Let's ruin people's lives for political gain. Doesn't that sound great? No, it doesn't sound great. It just sounds like capitalism, and that is the very system that the police are sworn to uphold and protect. Not the people. They protect capitalism and those who are in power. Those are the real people they are serving. Not you and me, no one, but the people who are in charge. Reminder that all the people who are currently rotting in a cell right now, all just to keep the prison that they're in to continue to make a profit, had to be arrested by police first. The police are the very cogs that allow this nightmare wheel to continue spinning. They do not stop crime, they exacerbate it. And if this country was actually serious about stopping crime, then they wouldn't have for-profit prisons, or really prisons in general. They would have a lot more emphasis on getting the people who return to these crimes the help that they need, and would help these impoverished communities who have nowhere else to turn to but crime. We would actually go after the socioeconomic reasons as to why one would turn to crime, and not just see throwing them in a cell and forgetting about them as an effective way to combat crime, because in reality that does fucking nothing. The oligarchs in this country want crime to continue to exist, because otherwise these prisons won't turn a profit in which they get a cut of the share from, and the only way they ensure that these prisons are filled to the brim with prisoners are the police out there who arrest these people. It doesn't matter if it's just a non-violent drug offense or any other bullshit crime that they pull out of their ass just to fill these prisons up. It doesn't matter, because these prisons will be filled with prisoners, and thus the prison gets a bigger profit. And that is a police officer's real duty, to serve these kind of people and not you. And that is why all cops are bad. I don't give a shit how nice an individual police officer was towards you, and I don't give a shit if a good friend of yours is a police officer, and I don't give a shit if someone in your family is a police officer. It doesn't fucking matter to me, because they serve an institution that enforces oppression on behest of the state and for the profit and benefit of the corporate oligarchs that run this country. That's all I have to say. Bye-bye.